What's up everyone, this is Minnie, and today I'm coming at you with my review for the new Italian Tier 8 premium aircraft carrier, the Aquila. Before we get into the review, a couple of quick things. One, this ship was provided to me by Wargaming for the purposes of testing and review as a community contributor. Two, don't forget to like the video and make sure to hit that subscribe button. A big thank you to all of you that already have. We're closing in on YouTube partnership very quickly at the time of this video being released. But about 70 to 75% of you watching have not hit that button yet, so make sure you click that button. Now, before we get into some gameplay, let's take an overview of the Aquila. So the Aquila comes equipped with pretty standard armor. You're going to look at, when we look in at everything, you're looking at 19 millimeters across the sides. You got a 25 millimeter flight deck and 13 millimeters on the superstructure. This means if you get up tiered, you are going to get absolutely wrecked, so you got to be careful there. Survivability, you get 51,100 hit points. Aircraft, you get two different types of aircraft. You get flights of AP rocket planes. Those AP rocket planes, you launch 10 at a time with 26 on deck, and you have 5 that attack in a single strike. You launch 12 rockets per plane for a total of 60 rockets, and with the maximum rocket damage being 1,150, you're looking at somewhere in the magnitude of 66,000 on the alpha on that, though you're not going to get anywhere near that on any of them. Torpedo bombers, you get these little bit more health, 1,436 versus the 1,230 on the AP rockets. You launch 6 of these, 20 on the deck, 2 per drop, and you get 2 torpedoes per drop total for 7,133 damage per torpedo, or just over 14,000 potential damage on those. Other things to know, you do not have any real secondaries. This is not like the Nakamov where you actually have legitimate secondaries. Your air defense is decent, your maneuverability is not bad at all, and your concealment is, with my build, about 13.4 kilometers. If you're looking for my build, make sure to check the description down below. It'll have a link to the build once the build goes active later on the day that this review drops. Anyway, let's get into some gameplay. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the gameplay today, we did choose a game where we are top tier, and it is a little bit unique because there is a double CV, but I wanted to give you a feel for how the ship performs in a variety of circumstances, and I will talk about how it performs when it gets up tier. But just looking at the game, 5 battleships, 2 cruisers, 2 DDs, and a sub. So, with the Aquila, obviously there's been a lot of interest in this ship because the Aquila is the first Italian aircraft carrier and is going to provide us with most likely a look at what the lines will look like when we see it. And I have to say, I enjoy playing her a lot. So first off, we're going to talk about the rockets. Now, a lot is going to be made to do about the rockets potential alpha. As I said, you have 1,150 damage per rocket, and you launch 60, which comes out to over 60,000 alpha. But it's not like the MVR, where because you're coming in at a low angle, you're getting a lot of citadels, or even the Parseval. These ones come in at what feels like a higher angle, and though there's a lot of them, you're going to get good damage. You are not going to get as many citadels on cruisers and battleships. However, because there are so many, that gets balanced out by the fact that even though you're only getting pens, you can get a lot of damage on enemy ships. And you'll see I mess up that drop a little bit because I'm a little bit late on it. So you can still see I got 16 hits for 4K, but I had 11 non-pen, 7 torpedo hits, and so on and so forth. So it wasn't as good. That being said, with the rockets, rockets do really well against enemy carriers. So, unfortunately, if you are an enemy carrier and you see an Aquila, there's a fairly decent chance that it will try to bring its rockets to bear on you because of the fact that you can actually get 5 to 10 citadels with those rockets on the enemy ship, plus all the pens means you're looking at a 20 to 30,000 damage hit, potentially. It's a little ridiculous. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. Now, next up, let's talk about the torps. So the torps are where the Aquila really shines. Torps feel a lot like the British ones to me, where you've got you drop a few of them, but they hit hard and they're slow. You'll see we get one hit there for 5,900. We get a second hit there, and it bumps us up about another 5,900. So we're looking at about 12,000 damage on the hits, plus the flood. Flooding chance, by the way, on these is fairly decent. Now, the torpedoes and the attack aircraft do have some issues. Issue number one is that the planes feel like they're made of paper mache. These planes, even in this match where I'm facing low tiers, feel like they just get absolutely massacred. Because you can see, I have 6 planes, and admittedly, this was before I put my equipment on that, but with only 8,100 health, and even with captain skills bringing that up, you don't get a lot of them there. And ignore that weird looking drop. It's the replay bugs that are making it look strange. The drops are happening, and that's why we got the 2 hits, and you can see about 13k. Now, so the planes feel like paper mache, and that is something that only gets worse at the top tiers. When you get up tiered, you are going to be able to find yourself very easily deplaned if you're not careful. You have to have a very, very, very careful target selection when you're facing 9s, 10s, and even, to an extent, enemy tier 8s. Because you have so few drops, in terms of the fact that you've only got 1 drop before you're losing planes on an attempted second drop in a single squadron, it becomes rough. You gotta be careful. But I really do enjoy playing her, and I do overall recommend her as a ship for playing. And you'll get a chance to see the fun stuff that can do. Once again, a little bit messed up on the drop that one was actually, but you can see 8,700 damage, 23 overpens, 5 pens, or 23 pens, 5 overpens, and 1 citadel. If I had aimed a little lower, I would have gotten more citadels, and that would have been a dead Cleveland. And so she is a blast to play. You don't feel like you're doing damage until you start landing lots of torps, and then suddenly you look up and your damage is over 100k, and you're like, how did that happen? But the big thing with her is going to be you have to be selective on your targets. I know I've already said that, but you don't have the plane reserves to not be selective. And if you want to be racking up those numbers, you want to be saving your torpedoes for the cruisers and mainly the battleships, because the cruisers can still dodge because these torps are so slow. But you'll see I've done a good job of balancing out my planes so far. We are hurting a little bit on torp planes, but that's admittedly because I've been using them to great effect. I mean, we're at 56,000 damage 5 minutes and change into the game, but they have time to regen. In regards to AA, the times I've had planes fly at me, the AA does its job. It's nothing special. It's not slapping every single plane out of the sky before you get them. The concealment, 13.4, I mean, you're not going to be pushing up and in close, but it's good to have that ability to get a little closer. And, I mean, it's just a solid 1. Where I would put this in terms of tier 8 aircraft carriers is it's not going to be at the level of the Shakalov or the Kaga or even the Enterprise, but this is solidly in that tier, I'll say, with the Lexington and such. It has some downsides with the obvious fact that your only DOT effects damage over time are the torps, and so this also struggles mightily against destroyers because your only weapon is launching AP rockets at it and hoping you get a ton of overpens and pens, because the torps are just not going to hit unless the DD makes a mistake. But she's a lot of fun to play. She's a lot of fun to play. She's very enjoyable, and you'll find that you enjoy her. So let's talk through the rest of this battle as we go and see what happens. So we're now 7 minutes into the game. We've done 56,000 in damage. We're going this way because we're looking for that York, and we're looking to see where he is because we want to use the rocket damage. Unfortunately, this is a little bit of a mistake. I shouldn't be going that far out because there was plenty of other targets, even though they're bunched up. But part of me does want to stay safe. And so we'll see the York here. We'll set it up. And you'll see here, we don't get nearly as low as you do as the MVR, which is why these AP rockets are harder to Citadel than MVR or such. We still get 1 Citadel there and about 6,000 damage, which is a nice feel, even though we've lost half our planes for it. But now we're going to go looking at what's close to me and see what we can find. Overall for the game, we have no caps. We just took a cap finally, but they are still ticking up a lead. And so we're looking for enemy ships to hit. And the Bliskovitsa has gone completely still here. And so this will give you a decent look at what you can do when a ship is standing completely still, even though my reticle isn't the tightest. So watch, we're at 62,486. We get 22 hits for just about 4,000 damage. That's pretty reasonable on what you're going to expect when you fight enemy DDs. Now we're going to look and we need to wrap up everything on this side. So we're up by 1 ship. We're up by about 10,000 health. The Nagato is just about dead, so we're going to completely ignore him, and we're going to look for that Andrea Doria. Andrea Doria is the prime target, but because the Bliskovitsa is still sitting there, we will take advantage of the DC'd AFK whatever Bliskovitsa to launch torps at him. And then we'll turn it around because the A is not so good, and we'll get the torps on the Doria. And so there's our first kill. We're at 69,000 damage. And so we'll come in here. And like I said, because or people are saying, well, Mini, you're playing against tier 6s. Of course you're doing a lot of damage. You still do a lot of damage, and probably honestly even more damage at the higher tiers, because your torps, you just use them constantly against battleships to just whittle their health away slowly but surely. And we got a second kill there against the Andrea Doria, and now we're looking at that York again. Vladivostok's getting focused. Our Hipper did just die, but we're still up by 2 ships, and so we're going to push forward and we're going to look for kills. And so we got a York, and of course we're getting pinged by the sub, ladies and gentlemen. Regarding this ship in modes that aren't randoms, ranked, I still would say take a Chikalev or such, because while it's good, as I said, it's not that top level. We'll see a decent drop there. Ops, and there we go. You can see 8,000 damage, 3 citadels. We finally got some decent citadels. Co-op, I see no issue with. Scenarios, I can see some scenarios this would definitely be interesting in when they bring back tier 8 scenarios. Obviously, as of the time of this video in July of 2022, there haven't brought back a lot of them, but I know that Cherry Blossom and such are supposed to return soon, so it'll be intriguing to see what happens as they bring back scenarios where tier 8 carriers can be played, to see how they do. Also, I wouldn't recommend this for clan battles, but for randoms, it's a good time. We're now at 3 kills and 86,000, and we got a enemy sub somewhere on us. And so we're going to try to get the drop on the Shikaku here. If I recall correctly, this isn't my best drop. As you can see, I was already hurting for a lot of them, and I don't have a great angle. But we'll swing in, we'll get the drop on the tier 8. And so we go from 86,000, and you can see we get the 39 pens and the 5 over pens. No citadels, but 15,000 damage to the carrier, which is why I said this thing is going to be used for carrier sniping a lot with the AP rockets, because they just do work to enemy carriers with the low protection on them. But we'll come back out here. We're going forward. We have 101,000 damage. Game is just about over at this point. We're up by 4 ships. They have 130,000 less health. Their Shikaku's just died. We're going to take a peek at their Richelieu here and see what we can do to him. We've got a heal still left as well, so we're going to come dive in on the Richelieu, pop the heal, and we're going to get the 2 twerp drops off. He unfortunately turns in there, which means he does actually still eat those. I forgot he ate those. And so we're going to watch him. There's our Confederate, and we get the kill. That's our 4th kill. And they've killed the other one, so the only thing left is the sub. And this is one thing I'm actually genuinely upset about. I should have had the Kraken here. We'll speed it up, but I'm going to go look, and I'm going to try to spot where the enemy sub is. We'll drop a fighter over the area where we think he is as we start to make the turn. We'll spot him. And we're going to turn in and we're going to get some decent damage here. Which is another nice thing about the AP rockets. So we line up a little bit of a widespread. That's okay. We still get 2,600 off of
Torpedo's
him.
right behind us.
And so I'm going to turn around, and at this point the game's obviously won. But I'm going to turn around and I'm going to charge him because, ladies and gentlemen, when you're in a CV,
Torpedo's on the left.
you need to
Torpedo's on the left.
just charge them at this point. So we're going to charge him. And I'm going to be very disappointed here, ladies and gentlemen, because my angle is right. I was just a split second off. I'm at 117,000 damage. And as you will see here, ladies and gentlemen, as I push forward, we're going to look for him. We're going to slam the brakes briefly. We're going to angle. We're going to see if we get any sort of spotting on him. You can see all of the AA being dropped. And we'll see the black spot. And so we start to slow down. And then we start to angle. And you can see right there, and here's why I'm disappointed. That man comes within inches of dying to me by me just ramming him and getting the Kraken. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, even though we didn't kill him, I hope this review helps you. Don't forget to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to help me keep making great content. And as always, this is Minnie, signing off.